What's going on?
Hello. How are you?
Introduce myself to everyone.
I'm Craig.
Walk around.
Yeah, we met.
Yeah. I'm Clarissa.
Clarissa?
Tina.
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 Hi, Travis.
Tina. Lauren.
Lauren?
Judy.
Paulette?
David from Israel.
David from Israel. All right. Got them all.
So what are you allowed to tell us about season 2?
Oh, it's big. What am I allowed to tell you? Well, do you have any questions specifically?
Yes. Looking for your son.
I think that one of the central storylines of my character will always be that he's searching for his son, but certainly in the opening of the show, we're picking it up a little bit. Look, it's going to come out. It's after the bombs dropped, so there's been some dispersion of all the characters. So we all find ourselves in very, very different scenarios. So yes, I think the son. I hope the son's coming.
Will we see a confrontation between you and Tom Neville?
This I don't know.
Okay.
This I don't know. Tom and his son have found themselves in a very different environment to what I'm in. I'm sort of. I find myself in a somewhere around the Colorado sort of area, fighting for coin in a whorehouse.
Well, because Tom took over the Monroe Republic.
That's
while
right.
You were, and he took you prisoner, but then.
That's right. But he took over whilst there were ICBMs mid-air pointed at Philadelphia and Georgia. I'm really not sure what I can say, but.
Just spill it.
Look, I mean, it's you're my first interview. This is it. So I'm trying to hone what it is I'm going to be saying. But
Monroe Empire still exists?
no, I don't think in a dispersed fashion. Yeah. I'm sorry, that's not much info. But bear in mind that we've only shot one of the episodes, so I don't know exactly where it's going to go from there. I mean, when you get Eric in this situation, you can really start pulling the goods. But,
Will the tone of the show change with it being on at 8 p.m.?
Well, you know what's interesting is that the tone of the show has absolutely changed. But it feels more like a 10 o'clock show now than it ever has. It's a lot more grimy, a lot dirty, a lot darker. So the whole world, in terms of the look of the characters, in terms of the motivation of the characters, we're sort of like really getting, and I love it. I think it's great. We're getting into that kind of true post-apocalyptic grind. You see humanity at its very best, at its very, very worst. So when there's darkness, there's very, 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 it's very, very dark. So yeah, I don't think it's the tone of the show. Certainly the scripts in terms of the way they're written, it hasn't changed. There's just as much swearing. Like Eric loves to write in the big print, not with the dialogue, but he's pretty colourful in the way he explains things.
So what difference does it make now that the power's gone?
What can I say? Well, the question would be, does the power stay?
Does the power stay?
I'm not sure. Yes, no, yes and no. There's been, like, in terms of the mythology of it, in terms of what happens in the tower, it gets completely. A lot of the science behind it starts to get scrambled due to the nanotechnology and stuff. So the nature of the world, and I'm sorry that I'm being so ridiculously cautious with this, but the nature of the world has been totally changed. And everyone's relationship to it. So the people that are in the tower, the guys who are in the tower, I was not one of them, but they're changed from the experience in the tower.
So who will Monroe be be interacting with when season 2 starts?
Well, we know that Charlie has gone rogue, and we know that she wants blood. She wants my blood, and she might get a little bit of it. We'll see what happens.
So do you ever find yourself slipping into your normal accent?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's funny, coming back now, I've had 3 months or 2 months holiday. I was shooting a scene the other night, and it was virtually all Australian. I was like, I can't rein it in as much as I'd like. But it'll get better.
Did you go home?
I did, yeah. Went back to Australia for a couple of weeks. We also did a bit of a tour around England and Monaco for Revolution as well. So yeah.
Is there something you miss about home when you're here?
All of it. The people mainly. Yeah, it's always the people. The friends and family. Vegemite, I'm never going to diss Vegemite, it's amazing. Has anyone tried it? You have. Anyone that does this, has tried it.
It's salty.
It's delicious. It's very salty. But it's very high in riboflavin and vitamin B. This is not the questions that you ask.
Is there Vegemite in the Monroe?
There was some in a secret stash. He had all the good booze and a little jar of special sauce. Yeah.
Why didn't they let you use your Australian accent?
You can't have the leader of a militia that controls one massive part of America being Australian. I don't think anyone's going to want it or buy it.
How long is it going to be before we get another Miles Monroe?
I think it'll be sooner than you think. And I actually don't know the answer to this question, but due to the nature of what's happened, due to the nature of it, the bombs have gone, have dropped, and there is rubble. There is like the east coast of America is now rubble, and everyone has the emotional weight that gives to the characters that were in the tower that could have stopped it is huge. And so you start to see them break apart and change. And likewise, Monroe, I think, has a deep sense of relief that he's no longer at the top of the tree. He's off roguing his way around, whorehouses. That's a term that Eric uses, not me. I would call them ladies of the night.
So do you think the relationship will evolve?
Yes, yeah, it will. It has to. It has to go one of two ways. In my opinion, it has to go in terms of the mythology of it. I either have to die saving him. This is what I think. This is all me. But if I have to die saving him, or we have to somehow come together, or he dies saving him. That's never. So.
Has being on the show been making you think about the world and the state of the world
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not, like, in the current environment that we live in, it's hard not to think about the state of the world at any moment. And I don't want to get preachy about it, but it's certainly, like, a show like this does draw your attention to what we're actually doing. The pillaging and raping of the natural resources that we have is something that is finite, and things have to change. So yeah, I mean, that was a massive topic of discussion when we first came onto the show. First of all, what happens in this environment? Second of all, how close are we to this environment in our current day and age? But yeah, it's I used to always say with this show, it's kind of interesting because it's kind of like a quiet apocalypse. Now that they've dropped the bombs, it's now a post-apocalyptic show. Because they've had one and now they've had another.
Yeah.
So they've had a quiet apocalypse and now they've had a very, very noisy one. There's no sense, because these are radio interviews, but you're filming them all, right? It's horrifying. You get a better one. She'll tell you much more. I don't know. It's a pleasure to meet you guys.
Thank you so much.